with my brother standing by. I said, brother, you know, it's a long.
Everyone, please be seated. Let me begin by welcoming everyone on this very special day. On behalf of Jenna and Nico and their families, thank you for traveling to sunny Santa Barbara, and for many of you, a great distance to help celebrate this wedding. For those who don't know me, I'm Brad Caldwell, Jenna's brother-in-law, and if all goes well in a few short moments, Nico's brother-in-law. That such a wonderful crew of people would make the effort to be here with such enthusiasm speaks to how strong the community Jenna and Nico have formed everywhere they go. And Jenna and Nico, on behalf of myself and all the honored guests sitting before you, I'd like to thank you for bringing us into your community. Not only have we all been blessed to know you individually and together as a couple, your love and companionship have resulted in us all coming to this beautiful location for what will likely turn into a pretty wild dance party. And so for that and so much more, again, we thank you. And personally, if I could just tack this on, asking me to officiate your wedding is one of the greatest honors of my entire life. So thank you. I still think you made a tiny, huge mistake by asking me, but let's give this a whirl. It was about at this point in my own wedding that I realized that this whole thing was actually going to go down. There's so much preparation, so much discussion, that for a while it feels like it is never going to actually happen. Something I wish I could have done is to take a brief moment and settle myself, because it happened so fast and then suddenly it's here and then suddenly it's over. So Jen and Nico, take a deep breath, take a look around, check out the view, make eye contact with each other, loved ones, and settle yourself. One of the first questions I asked Jenna and Nico when they asked me to officiate was, why do you want to get married? I think this is a critical question to answer. Why would anyone want to get married? To that question, Jenna answered, well, it isn't very romantic to say, but it is a piece of paper, more or less. Then she continued, but it is also symbolic of the life we want to live with each other until we die. And to that, I was wondering if I was planning a wedding or a funeral. But don't worry, Nico had his chance to bail them out a little bit. Then Nico answered, well, it's complicated. And now we're here. Well, that sounds pretty morbid. Don't worry, we are here for the right reasons. As I've seen the preview of their vows, and both of their thought out words are beautiful, and I hope you have your Kleenex ready. I know I have mine. Plus, as we spoke more, it was pretty clear they had more thorough and well thought out answers than the answers they provided when I put them on the spot. The other things they said that are important are how much they laugh, how much they love each other, how much they want to build a family with one another, and a bunch of other really nice, mushy stuff. But one thing that they both said multiple times in our conversation is that while this is very personal to them, it means so much to share it with everyone here. With their family, their loved ones, and to have everyone here be a critical part of the rest of their lives. So that is why Jenna and Nico are here. But why are we here? First off, it's because we got invited. But fundamentally, a wedding is a public statement of intention followed by a legal commitment. We are here to sit in judgment of the ceremony, to commit our support, and to witness Jenna and Nico's marriage. Of course, we're also here to enjoy ourselves and also take in this wonderful place. In a few moments, I'm going to ask you to confirm your commitment to the support of Jenna and Nico's marriage. So please take a moment for yourselves and give someone a little hand squeeze and center yourself in also being present in this moment. All right, now that we've had a quick moment to reflect, I'd like to confirm a few things. Jenna and Nico don't know I'm going to do this, But that's what you get when you ask your brother-in-law to officiate your wedding. So a little bit like legendary rap group Naughty by Nature at a hip-hop show, I'm going to lead everyone through a little call and response. But instead of the usual, hey, ho, hey, if you're in agreement with the following statements, please respond to the simple, we do. Do you gathered here today approve of this Meyer-Gasquet wedding? We do. Do you promise to hold the Gasquets accountable for the declarations they're going to make today? We do. Do you promise to solicit the Gasquets for all art project and epidemiology questions only when absolutely necessary? Do you promise to stay hydrated on the dance floor by alternating adult beverages with glasses of water? When Beyonce tells you to put your hands up, do you promise to put your hands up? Okay, terrific. Jenna and Nico, I think we can proceed. I'm now going to ask for your help once again, this time at the request of Jenna and Nico. You've already committed your support of this marriage, so now I'd like you to ask you to give Jenna and Nico your own well wishes. We will be circulating the wedding bands through the crowd. Please take a moment with the bands to give them a little rub, a little love, and then send them on their way. But please remember the common ring passing etiquette with this simple acronym, LOVE. L, let's keep it moving. O, over, pass it over to the next person. V, value. These are of high value, so don't drop them. E, expletive. If you do drop it, yell an expletive so we know who screwed up, and we can dispatch the ring bearer to help you find it. He's used to that language, so don't be bashful. So the rings. Here. I think they're gonna go this way. And this way. Now I'd like to welcome my better half to the microphone to recite the reading Jenna and Nico have selected. Oh yeah.
Jenna and Nico picked out this reading. It's from the book Wild Awake by Hilary T. Smith. People are like cities. We all have alleys and gardens and secret rooftops and places where daisies sprout between the sidewalk cracks. But most of the time, all we let each other see is a postcard glimpse of a skyline or a polished square. Love lets you find those hidden places in another person, even the ones that they didn't know were there, even the ones they wouldn't have thought to call beautiful themselves.
The second reading, I'd like to welcome Nico's sister, Mael.
So this was also chosen by Jenna and Nicolas, though I think it might have been Jenna primarily. It is from Captain Corelli's Mandolin by Louis de Bernière. Love is a temporary madness. It erupts like volcanoes and then subsides. And when it subsides, you have to make a decision. You have to work out whether your roots have so entwined together that it is inconceivable that you should ever part. Because this is what love is. Love is not breathlessness. It is not excitement. It is not the promulgation of eternal passion. That is just in love, which any fool can do. Love itself is what is left over when being in love has burned away, and this is both an art and a fortunate accident. Those that truly love have roots that grow towards each other underground, and when all the pretty blossoms have fallen from their branches, they find that they are one tree and not two.
Well done, thank you. So now is my time to say a few words. They asked me to kind of freestyle it, so here we go. As I can do so often, I got super nerdy on this wedding officiant assignment and did a bunch of research on various topics. ranging from weddings to love and other tangents in order to find the perfect antidote for the occasion. My wife had one tip. She said, don't get too nerdy. So here's my attempt at not being too nerdy. What really ended up grabbing my attention was the science behind making choices, and specifically the opportunities and pitfalls made when choosing the right person to fall in love with. Because when discussing things like climate change, baseball, or love, the most important things in life deserve data. Jenna and Nico, I hope you're feeling and have felt the heart-pounding butterflies in the stomach, head-spinning experience of falling in love. I hope that you have, because it's really one of the best experiences we have in this life. And sometimes it is so good that people hope that this level of happiness will last a lifetime. Finding a love story with a happily ever after seems harder than ever these days. And that's because societal beliefs give us the wrong instructions on how to find it. The first love stories we hear as children are fairy tales that tell us love appears magically. And in adolescence, we read romantic tragedies that love appears by fate. Now, these may sound like fanciful fictions of our youth, but researchers find that these beliefs, that love is both delivered and ensured by fate, continue well into adulthood. Now, that might sound unlikely, but I can assure you we can all think of friends that are smart, intelligent adults who lose all capacity for reason when it comes to their love lives. And so it can happen to the best of us, but it does leave us with a conundrum. On one hand, falling in love can give us one of the best experiences of our lives emotionally. On the other hand, it seems to compromise our ability to make well-reasoned decisions. And we need to make decisions because romantic relationships are strongly related to our psychological well-being, our life satisfaction, and even our physical health. So we need something more reliable than the mercurial whims of fate to find our happily ever after. A professor I had in college spent 2 years researching how to approach this conundrum, and he found happily married couples do all kinds of things in relationships that are helpful. And we will hear about those later from Jen and Nico's parents, who have had long-term successful marriages. Now think about the traits of your ideal partner. You might want someone who has certain personality traits or physical characteristics. There are literally hundreds of things one could wish for. The good news I have for everyone is there's pretty good odds that a little bit like finding a magic lamp with a genie inside, a person can get their first 3 wishes fulfilled in a partner, but not really much more than that. With only those 3 wishes, you want to use those wishes wisely. Here's where science, stats, and math come into play. I'm sorry, Jen.
Yeah.
Nico.
Love it.
Yeah. And it can help us in some regard because it can tell us the relative value of certain traits instead of others when it comes to long-term satisfaction and stability in their marriages as observed in longitudinal studies. Now, things like kindness are obviously more valuable than things like physical attractiveness in terms of long-term happiness and success in a marriage. That sounds like common sense, but time after time in the world, when you look at how people rank traits in selecting a partner, they don't always go for the 3 traits that would necessarily give them the best odds in having a successful marriage. People oftentimes select traits including things like looks, money, or a handful of other potentially temporary or fleeting characteristics while sacrificing traits in partners like kindness, emotional stability, responsiveness, and ability to be a good partner in parenting children. In fact, in these studies, an average couple saw the value of their marriages fall roughly by half over the first 15 years. The couple that does a really bad job of picking sees their marriage value drop by over 80% in the first 15 years. Neither are particularly good algorithms for success. But the good news is, when choosing the most positive predictors in marriage, the marriages sustain well over 90% of the positive emotions you're feeling right this moment, 15 years into the future. Even the healthiest marriages see some modest deterioration from day one, but this is largely because if our hearts continue to pound as much as they are right now, you'd have high blood pressure. Butterflies in the stomach turns into indigestion or stress hormones that are toxic when they are chronically released. So these marriages come down a little bit, and that's okay, because you still have to live your life and still have your faculties about you. This is not to say that people should coldly choose their partners using an algorithm, but relationships can be complicated and hard, so if science can help us better understand the way to help stack the deck in our favor, we should do it. And after all my research, you two have stacked the deck pretty damn well. And lucky for both of you, you also got the good looks trait thrown in as an extra wish that Genie isn't normally allowed to grant as a little cherry on top. So this is a super long preamble into the characteristics that I believe the both of you have deliberately gone out of your way to choose and will statistically give you one fantastic shot at having a really happy marriage, which will create this positive feedback loop that will provide fulfilling, happy lives that you can both live individually and together for years to come. So what would happen if someone wished really well and wished for a lot of good traits? What people should be doing is looking for a combination of the following personality traits: intelligence, creativity, extroversion, agreeableness, emotional stability. These traits should be both a turn-on and serve as the foundation of a long-lasting relationship. But the most important traits are kindness and enthusiasm. Kind partners are awesome. They're generous, they're empathetic, they want to be supportive of you. Kindness glues couples together. Research has shown that kindness, along with emotional stability, is the most important predictor of satisfaction and stability in marriages. Kindness makes each partner feel cared for, understood, validated, makes you feel loved. Shakespeare's Juliet said, "My bounty is as boundless as the sea, my love as deep. The more I give to thee, the more I have, for both are infinite." That's how kindness works too. There's a great deal of evidence showing the more someone receives or witnesses kindness, the more they will be kind themselves, which leads to upward spirals of love, generosity in a relationship, and both of you are kind in spades. Partners who are kind care more about your perspective, they are more likely to understand your perspective, and they are more likely to understand your relationship is not a zero-sum game of a give you one, give me one. It is more important to have a partner who will give freely, with the understanding that in the long run the partner will give freely and equally back with no expectations of some quid pro quo. Finally, we are at our absolute best when we are enthusiastic. When you think about the times in your lives where you achieve the closest to your potential, or even beyond your potential, it is when you are passionate and in love with something so much that you would persist and be determined and obsess over every small detail until you assembled something that was brilliant and spectacular. Okay, enough with the nerdiness. Jen and Nico are really lucky or have incredibly smart parents who preceded them in making their own choices in life partners, as both Jenna and Nico have parents who have been married a long time, something that's very hard to imagine given how young they all are. They've been married for 39 and 33 years respectively. That said, Jenna and Nico also had the brilliant idea to solicit the words of marriage wisdom from the real pros, and have asked both the Myers and the Gasquets to put their own words what it takes for a successful marriage. So without further ado, first up are the Myers. Oh, perfect. Thank you. We're missing one.
First of all, is it awesome today or what? Yeah. Okay. So Jenna came up with these questions, and one of the questions that we were asked was, what's the key to a happy marriage and what has kept us together? And the typical response to this is it's communications, right? That's the standard answer that everybody gives. My parents were married for nearly 53 years, and my dad's response to the key to the happy marriage was know how to fight. It sounds like an abrupt, brutally honest comment, and as a scientist, that's the way my dad was. But if you think about it, there's a lot of truth in it. It's really a more accurate and realistic way of saying communications. In 3 weeks, Kai and I will be married for 39 years. So for us, I would have to say it's about letting stuff go. When you have smart people, as I would say those attending this ceremony are, we have the need to control every single thing in our lives, and it's kind of embedded in us. And it's hard to let it go. But with control comes expectations, and that's a setup for disappointment. When we're young, particularly with kids, we're involved with crap, politics, pressures, and stress at work. And crap details serious responsibilities and stress at home. It's easy to get selfish and caught up in our own worlds without seeing what our partner's going through. If we're not careful as we get older, we get more rigid in our personal perspectives and expectations on how to do things, which creates tension. But if we take a breath and realize that there are many ways to do the same thing and let it go, you find that it really didn't matter in the big picture of things. It's not really worth fighting about, which is really part of my dad's comment, know how to fight. It also means knowing when not to fight and to pick your battles. I think this is part of mellowing with age. So my recommendation is to let go of the control a little bit and manage expectations up front. You'll avoid disappointment later. And as they say, don't sweat the small stuff, because with rare exceptions, like today, for example, it really is small stuff. You know, Hakuna Matata.
Thank you, Gary. Omniscient. Next up is the perspective from the Gasquets.
So, hello to everybody. This speech is more like a team effort with Donna and myself working together to produce this. Instead of 2 paragraphs, it's a 2-page thing, so I hope you can bear with us. Also, as you probably know, Nicolas is also from French, meaning from France. And so his father, myself, I'm French definitely, and you can hear that through my terrible French accent. You'll have to bear with it for the couple of pages that I'm going to deliver now. So Nicolas asked us to think about what was one of the most pleasant surprises in our wedding. And so we've thought about this and we put together these thoughts. To follow the theme, dear Jenna and Nicolas, first of all, to follow the theme you asked us to explore, we would offer that one of the most pleasant surprises is about our common journey, the journey that we started some 30 years ago. The journey we continue on to this day has been and remains a journey about discovery, about learning from and sharing about each other. On this journey, we've learned and continue to learn all the time. And while we may think we know each other very well after all these years, or fairly well, we can't help to be from time to time surprised by a new story, to discover a new fact, a new aspect, a new gesture, a different smile, a different touch that escaped each other's attention to this day. Okay, Nicolas, your mom might say, I, your father, I'm still discovering because I didn't pay attention enough, or did not listen, or just did not remember. And yet, there are those genuinely new moments which serve as reminders about how important it is to remain open to discover and open to learn, as we both acquire experiences and evolve as human beings, to discover who is this other person with whom we made a commitment to spend our lives together, to respect each other through various circumstances, to support each other through good and more difficult moments. These discoveries, part of this lifelong journey, serve as an important reminder that there is quite a bit more to learn from one another when heart and mind remain open. Aging and marriage, neither is for the faint of heart. Evolve together. Be and stay curious together. Have your spouse's back always. Be each other's best friend. Revel in common interests like music or shopping. Okay, perhaps not blues 24/7. I wonder why this reference. Or too much shopping. I wonder again about why this reference. But enjoy and benefit from each other mutually. Respect and communication are key. Never discuss sensitive subjects when either of you is hungry or tired. Remember that eating marshmallows can help improve communication. Eating marshmallows? What's the one thing you can't do when you're eating marshmallows? Talk. Communication is often much more about listening than talking. Bigger than surprises came the gifts. To us, our 3 children, Sebastian, you, Nicolas, and Maël, will remain forever the most wonderful gifts, bigger than surprises in our lives. You, Sebastian, Nicolas, and Maël, through your arrivals in this world, in our family, invited us to participate in your own discovery of life. You, Nicolas, forever the middle child, took us, your parents, along this path, bringing us to discover your rich personality, your own interests in guitar, in Lego building, in scary dinosaurs, in passion for hard rock and punk, in epidemiology, sharing your respective moments of anger, frustrations, joy, passion, sometimes over the top, as most rightful teenager would do it. And yet this life shared with us was full of surprises, and these moments will remain forever in our hearts. And now, you're bringing us to meet and know this wonderful person, your companion, Jenna. So what is a marriage? The key to a long, successful one. You choose to commit to your spouse, and then you choose to commit again and again. To accept him or her for who they engage in your own life together. This is another wonderful moment you invited us and Jenna's parents to share, and we feel very proud and happy to share these moments with you. How lucky are we to be able to celebrate this wonderful milestone with Jenna's parents, our respective families, your friends, and yourselves. We're incredibly proud, thrilled, and happy to share these moments with you. Merci.
That's great. Thank you for those words of wisdom.
And try something delicious to eat. I remember loving those moments so much because they would happen so effortlessly. I loved listening to you. I loved providing suggestions and laughs when appropriate. During this trip, I realized there was no one I cared for as much as you, and I knew I wanted to be there for you for the good and tough times forever. And finally, I knew I wanted to marry you when I saw how much joy you give people. Whether it's planning a friend's birthday, making Brad and Lauren laugh after a hard day of work, or making Avery laugh after a hard fall on his knees. You can immediately light up a room and make everyone feel so happy just to be around you, especially me. You're always bringing the best out of everyone, and I knew during that trip that the single greatest accomplishment of my life would be to marry you, to marry the one who always strives for an adventure, the one who I always want to listen to and care for, and the one who can literally make everyone's life better by simply walking into a room. So now here's my vows. I promise to always put you first. You're the most amazing person I've ever met, and I simply can't wait to do more with you. During our time doing long distance, there are countless instances of me thinking, I'll wait so she can try this or see this. I'd rather do everything with you. Every day with you feels like an adventure, whether it's getting pizza for the 1000th time or taking a trip to a new country. I'm excited at the thought that I get to do all of it with you, and I can't wait to have more of these adventures for the rest of our lives. I promise to always make you laugh. From the moment we met, you've always managed to make me laugh through your amazing facial expressions when tasting the freshest sushi you've ever had, or smiling from ear to ear at the sight of Ave and Viv doing something funny. You bring me so much joy that I can never help myself from smiling when you enter the room. Never. And I promise to always reciprocate the favor because I want you to smile and laugh along with me forever. I promise to always comfort you. Whether you need a hug and a good listener on a rough day, or simply need the air conditioning a couple degrees lower than usual so it feels like we're living in a fridge. I promise to always surprise you. It's borderline impossible to surprise you, since we don't like to keep secrets between us, and because you're always aware of everything that goes on around you. And if you don't, you ask because you can't feel like you're missing out. And finally, I promise to always give you my best by challenging myself. You've always appreciated my quirks, highlighted my strengths, and have made me feel like I can become so much more. Through not so subtle hints about changing my wardrobe, or supporting the tough decision of having me go to grad school across the country. You've always helped me progress, and I will always progress for you. You're the best, you deserve the best, and I'll always push myself to give you the best. I love you, Jenna.
Really beautiful. Nice work. Your turn.
Okay.
Louder? 3 years ago, I wrote you a love letter in the form of a project called Reasons Why I Love You. What started off as a send-off card for a year of long distance ended up being the longest list I've ever written for anyone or anything. I found myself scribbling onto Post-its in the middle of work and pulling into gas stations on my drive home to get them onto paper before they left my mind. They came to me easily and constantly. Eventually, I had 365 of them. I had a whole year of reasons. I typed them up, I cut them into neat rows, and I folded them all into that huge, huge mason jar to take to DC with you. Open one a day, I said. I wrote about how you are my safe place, you're my perfect balance, and my favorite person to slow down with. That I love the man you are through and through. I wrote about the way you light up every single time Avery reaches for your hand, and I marveled at how effortless it felt, even back then, to weave you into my family. At the time, I couldn't believe I could fill a whole jar with all these affirmations. That I could stand by them all, I could swear by them all, this whole year of love yous that kept me anchored to you. These days, though, I could write 1,000 more. There aren't enough jars for you. Love you. Today, I vow to continue adding on to that list for the rest of our lives. I vow to stand by you, to trust you, to find strength in you, and to be your best friend first. I vow to remember where we started, to remember today, and to always reach for one another as life pulls us this way or that. I vow to fill you up with laughter and light, and to paint our days with color and spontaneity, and of course, tons of very loud, aggressive, early morning hip hop. I vow to travel together until we are too old to even know which country we're exploring. And even then, I promise to enjoy the unmapped and gray and the great unknown together. I vow to make our date nights a priority, no matter how many babies we have or how many social events have snuck onto the calendar. I vow to share plates and slam cocktails with you all the days of our lives, and to never let the excuse of being too full keep us from dessert after. I vow to laugh with you, and I vow to cry with you. I vow to celebrate you always. I read a book called The Sun and Her Flowers last spring, right before our trip to Italy. A poem titled The One is simple enough. It's only 3 lines on a page. Rupi's rules for finding this person are the following. They should feel like home, a place that grounds your life, where you go to take the day off. In loving you, I have learned that home can, in fact, be a person. And after finding that person, deciding on forever can be really easy. I've learned that a good laugh before bed is always the right choice. And that regardless of age, silliness should always be the golden rule. And that pizza will fix just about anything. And if it doesn't, there are always your arms. And if in doubt, I promise to spend the rest of my life running into them. I love you.
Pretty good. So in addition to those wonderful words, you indicated you want to do the traditional I do's. So here we go. I'll take it back. All right. Nico, do you take Jenna for your lawfully wedded wife, to love and cherish from this day forward, for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health? If so, say, I do.
I do.
Jenna, do you take Nico for your lawfully wedded husband, to love and cherish from this day forward, for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health? If so, say, I do.
I do.
All right, now we're gonna swap some rings. Nico, please repeat after me. I give this ring
I give this ring
in pledge of my love and devotion.
in pledge of my love and devotion.
With this ring, I thee wed.
With this ring, I thee wed.
Jenna, Please repeat after me. I give this ring
I give this ring
in pledge of my love and devotion.
in pledge of my love and devotion.
With this ring, I thee wed.
With this ring, I thee wed. All right.
With nothing left to be said, and by the authority given to me by the Universal Life Church and the great state of California, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Nico, you may now kiss your bride. It is my distinct honor and pleasure to present to you Mr. and Mrs. Nico Gasquet.
Paradise whenever I'm with you. My mind, well, it's a paradise whenever I'm with you. Right on. I will ride on down the road, I will find you, I will hold you, I'll be there.